Have you ever wondered how some old people always seem so peaceful and unbothered, no matter what life throws at them? It's like nothing phases them. Rude people, bad days, unexpected problems. They just shrug it off like it's nothing. Well, today we're diving into exactly how they do it. I'm going to share 5 things older generations do that help them stay calm, cool, and collected no matter how crazy the world gets. And trust me, these aren't just tips. They're real stories from wise old souls who've seen it all. By the end of this video, you'll know how to never let anything or anyone get under your skin, whether it's annoying people, daily frustrations, or life's curveballs. So if you've ever thought, how do they stay so chill? Stick around, because you're about to find out. Point 1. Embrace the "it is what it is" mentality. I once met an elderly woman named Mrs. Jenkins at a local coffee shop. She must have been in her late 80s, but her energy was magnetic. One of those people who always had a warm smile and a little sparkle in her eye. One day, as she sat sipping her coffee, the chair she was sitting on suddenly wobbled and collapsed right underneath her. Now, most people would have been embarrassed or frustrated, but not Mrs. Jenkins. She slowly picked herself up, dusted off her dress, and with a chuckle said, "Well, I guess that chair was ready to retire too." The entire cafe burst into laughter. Instead of getting upset or making a scene, she simply shrugged it off, found another chair, and carried on with her day like nothing happened. Later, when someone asked her how she stayed so calm, she said something that stuck with me. "Honey, at my age, you learn that things break, people cancel plans, and life doesn't always go your way. You can either get mad about it or just say, 'It is what it is,' and move on." And that's the secret right there. Life is full of little annoyances, a traffic jam, a delayed flight, a broken chair. But older generations have learned that fighting what you can't change only makes you more miserable. They understand that you can't control everything, and sometimes it's better to laugh it off and let it go. Think about it. How many times have you let something small ruin your whole day? Maybe your coffee order was wrong, or you got stuck behind a slow driver. But if you take a page from Mrs. Jenkins's book and embrace the "it is what it is" mindset, those things lose their power to bother you. The key to peace isn't controlling everything, it's learning to let go. Point 2. Choose your battles wisely. I remember hearing a story about an old man named Mr. Thompson who lived in my neighborhood. He was one of those wise, quiet types, never in a rush, always polite, and rarely ruffled by anything. One day, I saw him in the grocery store parking lot, having a disagreement with a much younger man. The younger guy was clearly upset, waving his arms and raising his voice over a minor parking issue. Mr. Thompson stood there, listening calmly without saying much. Finally, after the man finished his rant, Mr. Thompson simply smiled and said, "You know, I hope your day gets better." And then he walked away. The younger guy looked stunned. He had been gearing up for a full-blown argument, but Mr. Thompson didn't give him that satisfaction. Later, I asked Mr. Thompson why he didn't defend himself. He chuckled and said, "I've lived long enough to know that not every fight is worth my time. Some people are just looking for someone to argue with. Why let them ruin your day? I've got more important things to focus on, like what's for dinner." And that's a lesson many older people understand. Not every battle needs to be fought. As you grow older, you realize that wasting your energy on petty arguments or trying to prove a point isn't worth it. Sure, some things are worth standing up for, your values, your loved ones, your health, but most things, they're just noise. Think about how much time we spend getting worked up over small things. A rude comment on social media, a minor disagreement with a coworker, or someone cutting us off in traffic. But when you choose your battles wisely, you save your energy for what truly matters. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply walking away. Point 3. Master the art of distraction. I once knew an older woman named Grandma Rose, and let me tell you, nothing, and I mean nothing, seemed to bother her. I remember visiting her one day when her neighbor's dog was barking nonstop. I was getting annoyed just sitting there, but Grandma Rose. She calmly grabbed her knitting needles, sat by the window, and started humming a little tune. After a few minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I asked her, "Doesn't that barking drive you crazy?" She just smiled and said, "Oh, sweetie, I've got more important things to do than listen to that dog. Besides, I'm almost done with this scarf." She didn't let the noise get to her because she'd mastered the art of distraction. She focused on something she loved instead of letting frustration take over. Grandma Rose told me that years ago, when she lost her husband, she learned to cope by filling her days with activities she enjoyed. Whether it was knitting, tending to her garden, or baking cookies for the neighborhood kids, she always found something to keep her mind occupied. "Life will throw things at you," she said, "but you don't have to catch them. Keep your hands busy with something that brings you joy instead." And that's the key here. When something or someone gets on your nerves, don't sit there and stew in anger. Distract yourself with something productive or enjoyable. The more you focus on what you love, the less space you leave for negative emotions to creep in. Whether it's picking up a hobby like drawing, cooking, or even just binge-watching your favorite show, having something to turn your attention to can be a game changer. Life is too short to waste time being angry. Instead of getting upset about things you can't control, find a way to shift your focus. As Grandma Rose would say, if you're busy making something beautiful, you won't even notice the noise. Point 4. Let go of expectations. I once had a conversation with an elderly gentleman named Mr. Harris, who had been married for over 50 years. He and his wife were well known in the community for their calm, easygoing nature. I asked him what the secret to his happy marriage was, and he gave me a simple yet profound answer. I stopped expecting her to be perfect, and she stopped expecting me to be perfect too. He went on to share a story about his younger days when he used to get frustrated over little things. If his wife forgot to pick something up from the store, or if dinner wasn't ready on time. But one day, after a particularly silly argument, he realized that his expectations were the problem, not her actions. "I was expecting her to read my mind and be perfect all the time," he said. "Once I let go of that, we both became much happier." Mr. Harris explained that as he got older, he also stopped expecting life to go perfectly according to plan. He learned to roll with the punches. A canceled trip, a broken appliance, or even a rainy day no longer ruined his mood. "The fewer expectations you have, the more peace you find," he told me with a smile. And that's the lesson here. Older generations know that life is unpredictable and people are flawed. When you hold on to rigid expectations of how things should be, you set yourself up for disappointment. But when you accept people and situations as they are, you free yourself from unnecessary frustration. Think about it. How often do we get upset because someone didn't meet our expectations? Maybe a friend forgot to call, or a coworker didn't do their part perfectly. But if you let go of those rigid expectations, you'll find yourself less bothered and more at peace. Life gets a lot easier when you learn to accept things as they are instead of how you wish they'd be. As Mr. Harris said, "Perfection isn't real, but peace of mind is." Point 5. Laugh it off. There was an older gentleman in my neighborhood named Mr. Wilson, and he was famous for always having a joke up his sleeve. One day, I saw him at the grocery store holding a shopping list and squinting at the shelves. After a few minutes, he walked up to an employee and said, "Excuse me, young man, do you sell patience? Because I seem to be running out of it." Everyone within earshot burst into laughter, including the employee. Later, I asked Mr. Wilson why he was always so quick to crack a joke, even in frustrating situations. He shrugged and said, "What's the alternative?" Get mad. Life's too short for that. If you can laugh about it, it doesn't bother you as much. He shared that over the years he'd learned that laughter diffuses tension, whether it's a long wait at the doctor's office, a broken appliance, or an awkward situation. One of my favorite stories he told me was about the time he showed up at a wedding in mismatched shoes. He didn't realize it until someone pointed it out during the reception. Instead of getting embarrassed, he stood up, raised a glass, and said, "Well, I guess my feet couldn't agree on what to wear today." The entire room erupted in laughter, and instead of feeling awkward, he became the life of the party. And that's the point. Older people understand that humor is one of the best tools for handling frustration. It's not about ignoring problems, but about choosing to see the lighter side of things. When you laugh at a situation, it loses its power over you. So, the next time life throws something annoying your way, whether it's an awkward moment, a silly mistake, or a frustrating delay, try laughing it off. Humor shifts your mindset from frustration to joy. As Mr. Wilson would say, if you can't change the situation, change how you react to it, and a good laugh makes everything easier. Conclusion. So there you have it, 5 things older generations do to stay calm, cool, and completely unbothered by life's frustrations. From embracing the "it is what it is" mindset to laughing off awkward moments. These are lessons we can all start using right now to live more peacefully. If you found these stories helpful, or even if you just enjoyed hearing them, do me a favor. Drop a comment below with the number 9 if you're ready to let things go and stay unbothered, or comment 0 if you're still working on it but want to get there. I'd love to see where everyone stands. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss future content. Thank you so much for watching. Stay calm, stay happy, and as always, it is what it is. See you in the next video.